Stand by. Is this thing on?
Yes, Dan.
Oh, hello.
You're listening to Old News with Dan and Carrie.
This just in.
Breaking news to report.
We are live.
Old newscasters
Can we just say former?
Sure. Former newscasters reunite behind the mic after more than 20 years.
Old news is good news.
Stay tuned.
Welcome to Old News with Dan and Carrie. Today, we're at the Sun Prairie Media Center in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. We had a special show that we recorded here today, and we kind of wanted to wrap up season one, right, Carrie?
Yes.
Because we have been doing this for more than 25 episodes now.
Right.
And
Hard to believe.
We started kind of like, because you had a bug in your behind that you wanted to get this going. No, actually, it's been fun, and it's nice to be doing this and actually talking to a lot of great people. We've really had some great conversations.
Incredible. And we didn't really know where this was going to go when we started. We knew, as former news anchors that we wanted to dust off the mics and get together again and interview people. But we didn't have an agenda. We've been talking with people we've interviewed at WKOW. We worked there 25-ish years ago. And so we started with our coworkers, many of whom have gone on to other things, but some people like Lisa Fielding at WBBM and News Radio Chicago. She's a main, anchor from 3 to 6 drive time, and Rena Sargentopoulos. So it's been really fun to hear from our coworkers who have stayed in the business, gone on to truly great things. And Zach Spector working in Chicago news. I mean, it's
who, by the way,
fascinating.
just called me, or he
really?
texted me over the weekend because he was in Madison and he wanted to get together. But I happened to, it's the July 4th weekend as we were recording this today. But he was here and I was in Eagle River, so I missed him. But
next time. Yeah.
But we started out with a bang with Lisa Fielding.
Yes.
She was really a great interview, and she's a really fun person to talk to. We had some audio issues. It was our first episode.
We've
folks.
learned since then. We've been learning along the way.
We have, but that was a great episode to kind of learn about the radio news business again. And then John Stofflet, who just recently retired from NBC 15 here in Madison, talked a lot, as have many of the folks we talked to, talked about how the business of TV news has changed over the last 30 years that he was doing it. So that was very interesting. Plus, just the way that TV news is done today compared to when you and I did it 25 years ago, they have so much more to think about, so many more distribution methods than we had.
Right.
We talked about how, the internet, what's that?
We have to update the website? Come on.
But we kind of landed on, most of the people we talked to have some type of journalism. They've touched journalism, either they worked in journalism or they went to school for journalism. Not everybody, but many of them. And we talked about how so many of them, like you said, either if they stayed in the business or they've gone on to do other things, like Paul Pittis, who worked for Culver's for many years. I mean, Culver's, come on.
That was so fascinating to hear about the day-to-day, because, who doesn't love a Culver's cheese curd? They're the best. And the Butterburger. So, he was really taking us inside and giving us a perspective I've never heard before.
And who can forget about Bill Shirk, who, by the way, I saw on TV when I was up in Eagle River.
No way.
He was doing one of the shows that they do through his
Was
company.
it Minnesota Bound or something else?
It was something other than Minnesota Bound, but he was actually in a commercial for one of the products that is a sponsor for the program that he was doing. And I just happened to look up and I said to my son, hey, that's Bill Shirk.
We talked to him
we
on
talked
our
to
show.
him on the podcast.
That's right.
So it's kind of neat to touch base with those folks. And we still have to talk to Jamie Glenberg about getting to that Cubs game
I
this
was
summer.
just thinking about that. Jamie, waiting for the invite since he's friends with Craig Counsell.
Yeah, and you're from Pittsburgh now, so it's a little harder for you to get to Chicago than Jamie
figure it
and
out.
I, but she'll
figure
figure it
I
out.
weaseled my way into that invite. I'm like, hey, what about me?
And unfortunately, we talked to Steve Donovan and Jill Genter, and Steve was not unfortunately that
I
we
was going
talked
to
to
say, they were
those two.
awful.
Oh boy,
Skip that one.
But no, that was a great show. But unfortunately, you were going to get together with Steve when he visited out your way.
Yes, we are totally going to get together downtown. And then he's like, my family has already committed me to many things, so we couldn't get together. But rain check whenever he comes back.
Those families.
And one of my favorite episode, everyone was a favorite, but one that has really stuck with me is Katie Culver. She is
Yeah.
the head of the UW
Yes.
Journalism School. And my mom is sitting here in the room because we just interviewed her on our last episode. But she said, everyone who watches the news should listen to that. I want everyone I know to listen to that because she had such incredible education for us
Yes.
about even how to be a responsible news consumer. I mean, practical tips of changing your home screen and giving us different places to get news that I hadn't known about before.
I agree. And we didn't even get to, we kind of realized at the end of the podcast that we hardly even scratched the surface of AI.
Right.
So that's a good excuse for us to have Katie come
Yes.
back on the podcast and
Right.
talk about AI in
Right.
journalism and news,
Yeah.
because that is going to really, I think, change the landscape of what we get as news in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and what she did touch on was fascinating and just a lot of food for thought. And drones,
Yeah.
the use of drones in news. Should it be used? Do you need permission? Anything like that?
Right.
It's really interesting.
And then we even talked to some folks who were more peripheral to the news business, like a children's book author, Aaron Berge. Trying to think of some of the other folks, some of the behind-the-scenes folks, like you mentioned, Zach Spector. We talked to Steve and Jill. Steve and Jill were, I thought, one of the most fun interviews we had because I messed it up at the beginning. We had to start over, but that was a fun one, and I really laughed a lot during that one.
I know, I did too. I was listening to that one because you edited that one, I believe.
Yeah.
So I was listening on a dog walk, and I thought, oh boy, on everybody's Ring cameras, I was laughing out loud while walking my dogs. I thought they're gonna be calling me in like, oh, we got a loose one on the street. Come get her.
Unfortunately, it was probably more funny to us because we kind of lived in that world a little bit, but that's okay. You know, this is not about you guys. It's about us, really. So, no. Thank you for listening, too.
Yes.
And to the folks who are listening, we do get comments once in a while. We'd like to hear from more of you,
Yes.
too, because let us know who you want to hear from. Maybe it's somebody who worked in the TV news business or local journalism where you are over the last, 10, 15, 20 years. We'd love to contact some of those folks and talk to them. We have so many people on our list that we'd still
I
like
know.
to talk to.
The list is long. So we
Yeah.
are saying we're wrapping up season 1.
Right.
We're going to take a short break for summer, and then we have a long list of people to get to in season 2. So we have a lot more ahead. But we need you, please. Would you please, if you think we're a 5-star show, we'd even take a 4. To go on and
Take
write
a 3. Come on.
write us a review. It would be really helpful because we just want to get word out there that we exist, and we'd love to grow our Old News family, and we love learning, laughing, learning in a fun, relaxed environment. And so that's kind of been our goal that has emerged over the last several months.
And we'll keep evolving because I like to evolve as
yes.
well. I want to go from Neanderthal to Homo sapiens.
We'll get our knuckles off the ground
Working
soon.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for listening. We'll be back in a short month or so with a great show with Peg Pokins. I said to these guys before that I ordered a pizza and I went in to get a pizza, and I said to the young lady when I went in, I said, "Press her for Dan," and she looked at me like, "You mean a pizza?" This is what you're going to get with Old News, folks.
That's right. Authentic right here.
Yeah, so
All
keep
right.
listening.
Yes, please. And we'll see you after a break.
Thanks for tuning in to Old News with Dan and Carrie.
That's old news for now.
Join us next time.